Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is June 23rd, 2025, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, oil retreat just slightly after this volatile weekend. We would have thought that it would have gone higher, but it didn't. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So we've got a bunch of Flash Manufacturing and Services PMI numbers coming out from the Euro. We have from France at 9:15, from Germany at 9:30, from Great Britain at 10:30, and from the United States at 3:45. Now looking at the markets, starting over with the Forex symbols, the Japanese yen loses versus the dollar advancing versus the Japanese yen, and looking at the indices, both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ slightly higher in pre-market trading. Now looking at commodities, gold has a fade opportunity. Initially it spiked and then it did sell off. Now looking at the stocks, Google tanks, and lastly, the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin sets up a very sharp V formation. So let's take a look at markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Japanese yen. Yes, it's getting a spike versus the dollar. A lot of geopolitical things happening in the world right now. I do expect a lot of volatility, so just know about it. So if you're a really astute trader, you know that you're going to have to put stop losses and take profits, especially in these type of environments. And a lot of volatility creates a lot of opportunity as well. But there's always also the risk involved if you're on the right side or wrong side of the trade. So just keep that in mind. Now, looking at the Japanese yen, yes, we're inching closer to resistance-ish area. We do have a little bit further to get to really what I call bona fide resistance-ish area. Anywhere between 147.79 and 148.59 is basically a resistance-ish area. So keep that in mind. But the accumulation is there, but we don't have the volume. So with that said, we may just make this just may be a spike to the downside as a subsequent spike. Now the Canadian dollar also did get a little bit of a bounce here, weakening versus the dollar. Nothing really big to write home about. The euro not doing much and the GBP not doing much. So I'm not going to cover it too much. Now jumping into commodities. Okay, so gold had a spike, but then it came right back down to its 33.59, and that is something that I do expect, okay, in this type of environment, especially if we have a lot of volatility, a lot of uncertainty in the markets. And this is something that we need to take into consideration in this type of environment, like I said. Now, looking at oil, now this is on a daily chart, okay? We did have a spike up to 78 after pushing even higher and then retreating down to 74. Now, how this is going to play out with Iran and the United States is going to be kind of interesting, okay? Because there's a after effect, there's the retaliations, there's maybe not retaliations, a lot of it is rhetoric. Gonna have to really see what the actions are. Rhetoric are meaningless, okay? At the end of the day, they're meaningless. If I threaten somebody and unless I come up with some actions to back it up, it doesn't mean much. So Iran threatening that they're gonna close over the Strait of Hormuz, which is really the major highway or the major inroads into their oil refinery, where they do supply a lot of China's oil, if not all of it. Okay, if they do say that they're going to close it off, that's going to affect the price of oil. But if they do it, that's something else. Okay, and that will be detrimental to themselves ultimately. So they're playing this game, okay, of threatening and all this stuff. Let's see what actually happens. That's what you want to need to and be aware of. Now, believe it or not, in these type of situations, people have satellite images that they take to see, as astute traders. I'm not talking about intelligence, I'm not talking about governments or anything like that. I'm talking about just regular people who access some satellite images to see what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz, to see if oil is actually being shipped or not. Okay, a little bit of a tidbit there. Now, looking at natural gas also did get a little bit of a correctional move, as that had a really nice rally last week to 4. And then retracing down to 79. Very volatile here as well. Now looking at the American markets, okay, we are just slightly higher this morning. Means nothing, okay? It really doesn't mean anything, because if there is retaliations in the United States, in the homeland, that's going to be something really serious, and we're not going to see where that's going to end. So keep that in mind. Now looking at Google, this is very interesting. If you look at Google, Google took a nosedive last week. Look at that. From 175 down to 166. We're getting into corporate earnings season. This is inching closer to it. So this is kind of like raising a red flag. Does this mean everything's going to sell off? Not necessarily. But if we look Okay, at Facebook also, it did sell off. Okay, so I don't have everything selling off, but I do have the tech stocks selling off. Microsoft also had a little bit of a retracement after hitting all-time record highs, as we know there. And so this is still happening as we're continuing to close this off and close off this month of June. And now looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin did dip below 100K, but guess what? It came right back. Now, it's not back up to the 5,000. It is at supportish level. I would consider this still at supportish level, so keep that in mind. However, if we do capitulate, we do have some volume on the downside, it may sell off even more. So keep that in mind as this still unfolds. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.